Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I'm your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is another installment of BS Reviews. Today, we'll be looking at a rather unknown anime series, or relatively unknown. For those of you who don't know, most of the anime in my collection are more relatively obscure and unknown titles. I do like popular titles, but most of the ones I actually own end up being more obscure, and this is one that I've enjoyed for a very long time and regret that no one has really caught on to its existence. So I'm hoping to open your guys' eyes up to this little gem you've been missing out on. And it's known as Gokudo Swordsman Extraordinaire. It's brought to you by Anime Works and Media Blasters. It was originally created by Takeru Kirishima and Usagi Nakamura, who haven't really done much in terms of creation. However, the series is directed by Kunihisa Sugishima, who's worked on such anime as Yu-Gi-Oh! And Beyblade, and the art is done by Mihio Shimokasa, who's worked on Nightwalker. It stars the vocal talents of Daniel Kevin Harrison as Gokudo, Ted Lewis as Prince Nyari, Chunky Mon as Jin, yes, Chunky Mon is his real name, Debora Rabbai as Rubette, and Sonny Weil as Granny. The plot of Gokudo Swordsman Extraordinaire. Gokudo is a lying, cheating, racist, sexist, perverted, stealing, opportunistic bastard who puts the douche in douchebag. And we follow him as he steals a seemingly harmless rock from an old woman who he calls Granny. However, the rock turns out to be a genie who will supposedly grant him wishes, but he doesn't because he believes that Gokudo's wishes of sexy women and lots of money are too immoral, and so Gokudo goes out to find adventure on his own. Fortunately, this leads him to a wild series of hilarious mishaps as he stumbles into a huge adventure involving various other characters, such as the sexist Prince Nyari, the tomboy princess known as Rubette, as well as many, many other characters such as magical kings, evil temptress singers, dragons, sphinxes, and other all sorts of crazy adventures as Gokudo sets out to make a name for himself, to conquer all the weirdos and wackos of this world, and become the biggest badass that he can be. View the plot. There's something to be said about animes that focus on grade A assholes. It's just so much more fascinating than watching a typical hero. People who have seen shows like this, or Death Note, or Desert Punk, know from firsthand experience that it's these assholes that actually make the show more interesting. I mean, there are so many shows that follow the good guys. It's so interesting to follow the bad guys for a while, and it's amazing that you see them do these deplorable things like Gokudo. He lies and cheats to people and just does whatever the hell he wants. Yet somehow you get attached to this guy and you start to feel sorry for him and you actually want to see him succeed just because you've been watching him for so long. And it doesn't matter how nice of a setup it gets or how easy the situation may seem, Gokudo will turn it to shit one way or another, and there is no hope or dignity in this guy. He just really is out for himself. And if you don't believe me, you have to see it for yourself because his deplorableness knows no end. There's a scene where he actually summons the Satan of their world. He's a little black bald kid named EQ, and he says he'll help Gokudo as long as he turns him in his soul for payment. However, he goes, "Tell you what." He points to another guy and he goes, "I'm going to give you that guy's soul." EQ's like, "You're a pretty evil guy. I like you." And that's just an idea of just how bad Gokudo is. And the funny thing is, the show makes it so humorous that no matter how despicable his actions are, it's all done with a tongue-in-cheek sense of style of humor. It's very much similar to Slayers. And as someone noted on AnimeNewsNetwork.com, Gokudo is actually more of an asshole mercenary than even Lena Inverse is. And she's a pretty big-name mercenary, so I give him credit for that. But what I love best about Gokudo is the storyline is completely interconnected to every single episode, step by step by step. What I mean is, once the show starts, every single episode connects. Once one journey ends, another one immediately begins. You can't miss a single episode. There are no fillers or recaps here. Every single episode is used constructively, effectively, and creatively as every storyline constantly locks to the next. So the story is constantly moving. And I've never really seen an anime series do that. I mean, even shows that are long running like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, take break episodes, silly ones. But this series connects everything together so perfectly. It's like one gigantic story that never stops. Review the characters. Another great thing about Gokudo is that it makes good use of its multiple cast of characters. Like Dragon Ball Z or Fullmetal Alchemist, it has a very large cast, and they're used very effectively and very well. And you get a wide variety of weird characters, magical creatures, genies, wizards, witches, Buddha monsters, dragons, everything. And it's all led by this asshole Gokudo, who Daniel Kevin Harrison has so much fun with. He just makes him sound so snotty and rude and bratish, and he just has such energetic enthusiasm for the most obnoxious phrases this guy spits out. And there's no crudeness he won't touch or do. Ted Lewis was very good as Prince Niari. I've heard him many, many times before, and here he actually gave a much more charismatic character-like role here. You know, I usually hear him in more generic roles. I mean, I mostly know him as Terry from the Pokemon show, and here he gave the character much more charisma and charm, and it worked for the character with his voice. I mean, he used it much more sly-like, and I didn't think he could do that, but he pulled it off. Chunky Man as Jin, still can't believe that's his name, has a great voice, and he just works so perfectly for the genie. I mean, he just fit right in with the character, and he just, I don't know, he just had like the best accent or dialect for him. I just loved it. Debora Rabbai was very good as Rubette. I mean, it's funny, she didn't sound as gruff. I mean, the character is portrayed as a very tomboyish girl, but she actually made her sound still like a girl and still funny. It wasn't too rough or butch or anything, which is good because that's, you know, you don't need to do that just because she's a tomboy. And she had a lot of fun with the role. Got a lot of other famous voice actors like Jessica Calvello. You got Rachel Lillis, and it's just a really good, funny voice cast with a lot of veteran voice actors from mostly like TV-oriented shows like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh. But still, these actors have a lot of fun with their roles, and it's nice to see a cast that has so much fun with these characters. And even though this is a silly show, they still have fun with it and just make it fun for us. Review the animation and the music. Music is interesting. They got some really good, interesting opening and ending theme songs. I particularly love the ending song known as "Wake Up." It's very funny, very weird, nutty, kind of catchy, and they got some good music. The animation is very interesting. The characters have very unusual designs. They have very spiky hairs and just very interesting clothing. Gokudo, actually, some people have mistaken him as a woman from first looking at him because of the hairstyle. I don't really see that, but I really like the character styles and the animation because it's very colorful, very bright. It works with the magical fantasy world. It really looks interesting, particularly when they use special effects, but I'll get that until later. And the animation for the fight scenes, like the magical spells and the like when they do like energy attacks, it all looks really cool. So I give them a lot of credit for putting together such a colorful show. I love animes that have like colorful characters, with lots of unique appearances, not some bland color scheme like black and gray, kind of like with Death Note. I mean, it's a good animation style, but the color scheme in that is just. Anywho, flaws about Gokudo. As I mentioned before about the special effects, the problem with that is that it's kind of a little obvious when they're using a special effect. When you see them do a special effect using computers, the animation actually turns to a much more palpable visuals. It looks much more colorful and it's more obvious that they're using CGI and computer graphics there, and it's kind of a buzzkill because you see the show, it looks so great, and all of a sudden you can clearly tell. I mean, I'm not nitpicking. Trust me, when you see it, it's very noticeable. Another problem is sometimes the voice actors all tend to sound the same, and unlike ADV, who had a wide variety of very distinctive voice actors, sometimes they kind of run on here and they don't really differentiate from other characters too much. So it would have been nice had they done that. At least with just in terms of, since the show has so many characters, try to variation around all the different people a bit much. It wasn't bad, but it was noticeable. Final wrap up, Gokudo Swordsman Extraordinaire is a very unique series that I feel people are really giving it a raw deal and really need to check it out. It's a hilarious, very unique anime series that does stuff that no other anime series does. I love the fact that it focuses on an asshole mercenary and uses so many wide variety of characters. I mean, you got so many people interacting. Daniel Kevin Harrison was hilarious as Gokudo. I love Ted Lewis and Chunky Man as Jin. I really got a blast out of Debora Rabbai as Rubette, and they just really knew how to use their characters. I was disappointed that the CGI animation sometimes becomes too obvious that they're using it, and I wish the voice actors had a little bit more differentiation in their dialect just so it sounds like you get more distinctive voices. But this is a really good anime series that people don't know that much about, and I hope this review widens your horizon about this show because it's very good. It's just like Slayers. It's funny. It's crude. It's about a villain. It's got a great interconnecting storyline gimmick that I've never really seen anywhere else. So I definitely say this is an anime series unlike any other I've seen in a while. Bottom line, I give Gokudo Swordsman Extraordinaire 3 stars and a half out of 5. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye for now.